Like, for example, population growth rate, I'm pretty positive you know that just means how much the population is growing, all right? But some of the other ones I think it would be important for me to explain. So, mortality rate, that's another way of saying death rate. So, how many people are dying per thousand per a certain amount of time? Infant mortality rate is just about the most depressing statistic there is, but that is how many babies die in childbirth per thousand births. So the reason why I want you to look this up is not to make you cry for the rest of your life, but it gives a reflection of what is the access to healthcare like in that country, or how is healthcare. Because the better healthcare there is in a country, the less this happens. Okay. Also, a country could have great health care, but they don't, like if you're poor, you can't use it. All right. That would also be shown in the statistics. So that's a reason why we look it up. Next, literacy rate. Literacy is, literacy measures whether you can read or write. So essentially, it's a most basic measure of education in a country. So you could assume that if a country has a 50% literacy rate, that their education system's probably not very good, or they don't let everyone get an education in their country. So if you're looking at a country that has a 99% literacy rate, like the United States and Canada, then you can assume that they do have an education system. So all you really need to have a literate population would be to have a mandatory education through, I don't know, maybe 5 years. But not every country has that. Or not every country lets their entire population go to school. All right, next. Population density, and this is the last one. And of course, I forgot to write density down. So I'm going to write it with my finger. Bear with me. I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I have very fat fingers. So writing on the iPad with my finger is an absolute nightmare. So all things considered, I thought that was pretty good. All right, but that says density. All right, and population density is just the concentration of people per square mile in a given area. So can anyone think of a place that would have a high population density? Yes?
The United States.
Okay, so the entire country?
No.
Okay, what part?
The coastal.
Okay, so the east and west coast, good.
New York.
New York? Is that what you're going to say?
Like Hong Kong.
Okay, Hong Kong would be huge. Chicago. China. Tokyo. India. Los Angeles. Vegas. No one said D.C.?
There's not that many people here.
Yeah, there is. D.C. is the 5th largest metropolitan area in the country.
What's the first largest?
New York. So, I guess so. But, so, if you were to compare D.C. to Western Maryland, has anyone ever been to Western Maryland? That's the skinny part by West Virginia.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no one lives out there.
But only because I would.
Yeah, that's what happens. You drive through it. So, listen. So, listen to me. So, population density changes. I don't want to take away Free Seat Fridays. All right, so listen to me. You'll be looking at it per country. So we've got a couple things you got to think about here. Obviously, the higher population your country has will lead it to have a larger population density most of the time. But you have to think about a lot of factors here. So if we're going to compare the United States and Bangladesh, you might sit there and go, well, the United States has New York, Chicago, LA, all these big cities that I can think of. I can't think of any cities in Bangladesh, so I'm going to guess the United States has higher population density. Well, that's not true. Bangladesh has one of the most dense populations because the whole country is about the size of Ohio. But in the United States, even though we have all these huge cities, we also have states like Montana and Alaska and Texas that have a lot of land that no one lives in. So you have to consider that as well. Alright, but apart from that, just kind of use that as some thought while you're looking into this. Okay, are there any questions? Alright, feel free to get started. If you need to finish the map assignment, do that first because that's due today. And after that, you may begin the population search from here.
When you click the
Yeah. What did I say?